Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
Well, we're standing just outside the Tea House, one of the very iconic restaurants here in Stanley Park, situated right on the water. There's gorgeous views forever here.
That's right, it's a gorgeous autumn afternoon here in Vancouver, but we're going to step inside to try some great food here at this iconic restaurant. That's coming up after you watch this. Well, we're now inside, and I won the coin toss between Lita and I to get to talk to Kirsten and sample some great cocktails. Now, Kirsten, we're here, you're the bar manager, we're here in your lounge at the Tea House. Great cocktail segment. We've also got a good crowd here today, so people are here every day. You've chosen a couple of cocktails that your bartender Jordan made. Let's talk about what you've chosen here today.
Yeah, so these are two of the classic cocktails that we offer. The first one is a French 75, so it's gin, lemon juice, a little bit of simple syrup, and then top that with Prosecco.
Very popular.
It's delicious. Second one is a Cosmopolitan, so that one is cranberry juice, a bit of vodka, and some triple sec in that as well. And so these are some of our classic cocktail offerings, but we do also do seasonally inspired
Can you talk a bit about that?
cocktails.
Yeah, because we're late fall right now.
Yes.
Are you moving some things in for the holiday season that people might want to know about?
So we're in the process of switching the menu over to some more seasonal things, some more Christmassy type cocktails. So one of my favorites is the Cranberry Mule. It has a rosemary simple syrup, which is really cool.
Right.
And then a ginger beer, cranberry juice, and vodka. So like a Moscow Mule, but with a little Christmas twist. And then we're doing things like switching our grapefruit sour over to a maple bourbon sour, stuff like that.
But again, are you keeping these on year round?
These classic cocktails, you can get it all year round,
Classic cocktails at a classic restaurant.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because I've been here a number of times, but I've never been here for brunch. You said you got a good brunch. Tell our viewers where and when they can get that.
Yeah, so brunch is Saturday and Sundays and also any holidays. So coming up, Thanksgiving, the Monday we'll be offering a brunch, as well as Remembrance Day that Monday we offer the brunch.
Nice.
And so that runs from 10:30 until 2:45.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I mentioned food because coming up later in the show, we're going to be joined by Executive Chef Adam, and Lita will, of course, join me for that segment. So when we talk about some great meals here at the Tea House in Stanley Park. Kristen, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you. Oh, I like that. Very good. Cheers. Well, we're enjoying a nice lunch here at Blossom Dim Sum and Grill, one of the many great places downtown Vancouver. You'll find this new restaurant at the corner of Butte and Robson. But we're going to leave downtown and Robson Street and go to East Van. We're going to talk to local artist David Wilson. His work can be found nationally and internationally. He has a big exhibit coming up, and we sat down to talk about that, him being an artist, what he looks for, inspiration. It's all right now. Here is our interview with artist David Wilson. David, your new exhibition is called Everywhere From Here, runs at the Railspur Gallery, October 24th to November 5th. Tell our viewers what they can see of your work at this upcoming exhibit.
Well, they can see a lot of new work. Everything will be brand new pieces of art. I think that the biggest surprise, perhaps, at the exhibition will be the painting of the lions.
Yeah.
And it's the lions was sort of the impetus for the exhibition. I wanted to sort of encompass the city from within view of the lions.
It's interesting too because I first really got to know your work when I looked at the spectacular paintings you've done of Granville Street.
Right.
Talk about the difference between, say, cityscape and then painting something like the lions.
Well, I mean, the city is, I mean, it's ever changing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's something that's in transition all the time. Every time I go down to paint something different of Granville Street, there's a new building or there's something to be seeing, or even the lights changing. But painting nature, it's really hard to mark those changes. Like if you look at the lions, which I find really interesting. I've looked at photographs of the lions from 100 years ago, and I can't tell if it was taken like this last winter or 100 years ago.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that change isn't so apparent unless someone goes in there and clear cuts.
We're just looking in your studio, and I'm always fascinated by artists because I can't paint or do anything like that to save my life. Talk about when you start. What is the first thing that you like to start with? Like I notice you're just beautiful with colors.
Thanks.
Is that the first thing that you kind of lay the canvas out with?
Well, I start off with a white canvas always, and then I lay out a very basic, like a primer almost, one color, and then sort of build over top of that. I usually have a pretty good idea as to where I want it to go, and it's often I'll think about it for a couple of weeks and sort of map out in my head as to how it will unfold. Usually it works that way, but not always.
Yeah, right. Well, and you certainly sell nationally, internationally for the last 20 odd years or whatever. You're a graduate, are you not? You went to Emily Carr Institute?
I attended school there, but I never graduated.
Yeah, you did. It's overrated. So, talk about the inspiration. You have a family. We're in this beautiful area in East Van. Does the inspiration come to you? Talk about that whole process.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely paint best as to, where I live, the city I live in. I do travel around once in a while and gather material to work with. But yeah, a lot of my inspiration comes from my family, from my wife and daughter, and just the basic things of life. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to think about that stage of life where the things that are more important, and I'm inserting that into my work a little bit more as well.
It's good to hear because I often interview as this lead on our show artists, writers, singers, actors, and I'm always curious as to how things began for them.
Sure.
For you, was this just from childhood that you had a talent, or was there something epiphany along the way? Walk us through that.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I used to draw these really nasty cartoons with my family, right?
Wonderful.
And,
okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So whenever I get pissed off, I would just draw something really awful about them, and it would make me feel better.
Yeah.
But as I progressed through high school, I encountered an art teacher, and he was a child of the '60s, and he was a really cool dude, and he had some really interesting conceptual pieces in high school that it sort of piqued my interest. And so he encouraged me to paint, and so I started working as an artist a little bit. I had a mentor up in Powell River where I grew up. His name was Luke Raffine, and he was a wildlife artist, and he just taught me a few things and just encouraged me to keep going. And so it was just a sort of a long journey from there, and I attended school at Emily Carr and took some classes and just learned how to be creative, and it's just the 10,000 hours plus of just getting better and better.
I like that most people we talk to, and including myself, all have like a mentor or a teacher somewhere in their story, which is great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, people can find out more about your work. First of all, what's your website?
It's davidwilson.ca.
Excellent.
It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, as is your work everywhere, and you can check out David's new exhibition, of course, as I said, October 24th to November 5th at the Railspur Gallery on Granville Island, as he said, davidwilson.ca. David, thank you for inviting us out to very quiet Fraser Kingsway area where you live. It's a lovely autumn day, and good luck with the exhibition.
Thank you.
You bet.
Get in the car. We're all going. Not you.
I said,
We're all going.
oh, come on.
Well, there's a look at one of last summer's big blockbuster hits. It's Hobbs and Shaw, starring superstars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham. Once again, the movie Hobbs and Shaw.
Well, Jim, it's time for another DVD giveaway here on Our City Tonight, and we are sitting here at one of our favorite restaurants, Forage, downtown on Robson Street. Now, that's an incredible DVD because there's 80 minutes of never-before-seen footage and content.
Yeah, they're certainly going all out, aren't they, with the new DVD releases? They're slowing up the production, of course, of DVDs as more streaming, but if you have a DVD player still, you can enter to win a copy of this, big blockbuster movie. This is part of the continuation of the Fast and Furious series, which the first movie, can you believe this, was back in 2001. The series shows no signs of slowing down.
How many of those are there now?
Oh, there'd be like 8 or 9, plus this one spin-off. Oh, there's so many more coming. This shows no signs of slowing down.
Definitely
Pardon the
popular.
pun. That's right. Hobbs and Shaw, and you can win a copy of this DVD, as Lisa said, with lots of extras. What do they do? How do they win?
Well, they can go to Our City Tonight giveaways at @gmail.com and just request a copy. Or you can actually contact us through Instagram at Our City Tonight. Just go to our direct messaging and say you'd love to win a copy of Hobbs and Shaw.
That's right. One of last summer's big hits. You can enter to win right now. And thanks to Margot, as always, and the staff here at Forge. Come check out this great restaurant at Jervis and Robson in downtown Vancouver. Well, we're back here at the Tea House in Stanley Park. Now, we were here earlier sampling some great cocktails, but we're back here to try some great food.
Some great food with Executive Chef Adam Mead. You have put together some beautiful dishes. Now, the Tea House is known for their delicious food, their gorgeous views. You've been with them for over 2 years now, so you've got definitely your signature mark on some of the dishes. Can you tell us what you've brought out today?
Yeah, so we're going to start with the mushroom ravioli. I think this has become a little bit of a signature on the menu here at the Tea House. So we have mushroom raviolis made of wild mushrooms. I believe there's cremini, button, portobello, some really nice stuff. And then we make a pesto.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it's tossed in the pesto with some more wild mushrooms.
That's fantastic.
Because mushroom on mushroom.
That's good.
Some grape tomatoes, and then it's topped with arugula, Parmesan, and some pine nuts.
Wow, very nice.
Yep.
Well, the dish in front of me I'm smelling, and I love fish. I'm a really big fish fan.
So this is sable fish. What I like to do is sear the skin and get it nice and crispy. I'm a big fan of fish skins, so you know, anytime there's a skin involved, I'm getting
It's
it crispy.
having a resurgence. People are eating it now.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I don't think you're alone.
No, not at all.
So what I did is serve it with some wild rice, which I treat kind of like sushi rice. So I put vinegar in it, some sugar, just to bring out a little bit more flavor. And it's really, really nice and really earthy in flavor.
Wonderful.
Throw a bunch of herbs in there as well.
Oh, terrific.
Like literally throw. And then some yellow peppers, broccolini, some grape tomatoes, and some roasted fennel.
Very nice. And you
wow.
were saying too before we came on camera that Sable, you sometimes alternate the fish depending on the season.
Yeah, it depends on
right?
the season. So this will run out relatively shortly, and then we'll move on to something that's in season.
Very nice.
Yeah,
That's
you
excellent.
gotta keep with the seasons, right? Even with the vegetables
absolutely.
as well.
Well,
this
that makes
has
sense.
been on the menu from the very beginning, which is
Yeah.
what, 41 years now. We're saying.
We're rolling into 41 years now. This is the Tea House mushrooms. So it's cream cheese and crab and prawns, green onion, and then you stuff it inside these little mushrooms.
Yes.
Topped with arugula, olive oil, lemon. It's very popular.
Oh, very nice.
Very popular.
That's incredible.
Fork is getting into my hand very soon because Lita's
yeah.
going to ask the next question.
I'm
so.
surprised that Jim hasn't already got in here. The Tea House has a really cool promotion, I guess you can say, happening right now. Can you describe that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are, for the customers, they can buy a ticket to have a tour of Stanley Park.
Wow.
A guided tour of
nice.
Stanley Park in a luxury town car.
Oh.
And then when the tour is done,
Yeah.
they come to the Tea House and they have a 3-course meal. And these are some of the dishes on it.
Man, that sounds like a great date night. That sounds
Yeah,
like a
totally.
great thing to do with your mom, your grandparents.
Yep.
Oh, I tell you what, when the restaurant's been around a long time, you always know it's there. But I'm really happy that it's the first time I've been here in a long time, so it was nice to come back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. See the great food. Adam, of course, executive chef here at Tea House. We're going to wrap the show up from this location a little later in the show. Adam, it's great talking to you. As I always say, though, I want to start eating.
Yeah, get in there.
Well, here we are at Blossom Dim Sum and Grill, brand new restaurant at the corner of Butte and Robson in downtown Vancouver. Beside me, a guy I've known a very long time and the host of a lot of radio shows. He does writing. I've written with you before. You've been around the media landscape for a lot of years. Primarily, though, we're going to talk about your main radio show, which is just here for the beer. You can hear that on TSN Radio. You also host a spirit show and a wine show, which is on Bloomberg Radio.
Kind of a triple threat.
Wow.
You know.
Gee whiz, it's Joe Leary, everybody.
Thank you, James. It's a pleasure to be here. I will tell you this. We're actually taking great pride in this because October of 2019 marks 9 years of the radio show.
Well done.
9 years. And we started the radio show on the premise of, how can I get some free beer? Let's do a beer show. And it literally was that pedestrian. And then all of a sudden this thing called craft beer explosion happened, and we started to be more reflective of the craft beer industry.
Yeah.
But we were laughed at in the early days because we just looked like a couple of clowns that were just trying to mug for beer. And to think that we've been able to last 9 years and grow with the industry and have the industry now respect what we do, I take a great deal of pride in that.
Can you talk a bit too about in the 9 years? I remember you telling me this stat a while back about just here's how many craft breweries were in Vancouver back 9 years ago. Here's how many now.
BC-wide, we are at about the 200 mark.
Okay.
And consider that in 2010, we were at 85.
Wow.
So the growth has been exponential. But what's interesting is that when you look at the growth of craft beer, if you look at the stats across Canada, it'll say that only about 20% of the market drinks craft beer.
Yeah.
But that's based on the national average, because once you get outside of Alberta, until you get to Ontario, and then once you get to the Maritimes again, there's really no big craft beer
Right,
business.
yeah, sure.
Here in BC, we're about 45 to 50% of the market now. So it's grown tremendously. And the thing is that you talk to people in Portland, which is considered the epicenter of craft beer, and they're still growing.
Yeah.
So for anybody to think, other than the fact that you're not going to grow in the city of Vancouver because real estate is prohibitive, but if you go out in the outlying areas, there's more breweries springing up all the time, and it's good because it builds a sense of community and a sense of neighborhood. When you and I were in Ireland, for example, go to a lot of those smaller neighborhood-style pubs, and that's sort of a meeting place, and that's what some of these tasting rooms have become.
And you've talked too about, people may not know this, but you've got beer alleys in Richmond, Port Moody, I think you've done a show, and even on Main Street.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more of those types of environments springing up because again, the interesting thing about craft beer, unlike so many other industries, is that they welcome all the competitors because it brings more people to the table.
Right.
So, for example, brewers will lend brewery staff, brewers will lend yeast or whatever to help a new person out, and the more in the area, the more people will come to that area. So, Port Moody is a good example of an area that really gets it.
Let's talk too about you had for 3 or 4 years a TV version.
Yes.
Just for here, but for the beer was on Shaw.
Yes.
You're now repackaging the show.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that coming in 2020.
So what we decided to do was we had a lot of really good footage because again, we had a 2-year run where we had access to a lot of good people in the industry, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of looks at how the operations maintain themselves. And then we had all this footage and we thought, well, why not do something with it? But some of it is outdated because people come and go. So what we decided to do is we culled through and we picked the stuff that's still relevant and still topical, and then we decided to add to that and broaden the scope. So basically from just beer, we've now added craft spirits, and from just BC, we decided to add Canada, North America, and in cases where, if I'm abroad, I will go and film something there. So we're hoping for a 2020 release, an early 2020 debut, on a network near you, hopefully, and we're calling it Enjoy Craft, and it's more reflective of the spirits and the liquid beverage world in general.
Let's talk the few seconds we got remaining. People can, again, find your Just Here for the Beer on TSN Radio when?
Yes, Saturdays, actually alternating Saturdays, so bi-weekly on Saturdays, repeating on Sundays, but you can also go to justhereforthebeer.com, which has archives of all of our shows.
And of course you have your spirit show and your wine show on
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg
Radio. Again, justhereforthebeer.com has access to all of that. It's much easier to navigate through that than to go through these various other websites.
And you also have something really exciting called joeleary.ca. Is that where you can find all things Joe Leary?
That has been saying coming soon since, what are we now, 2019? That's been saying coming soon since 2017. So I wouldn't be holding my breath on that one, James.
Okay. It's old friend Joe Leary. Known this guy a long time.
Thank you, sir.
You bet, man.
Sure.
Good to see you. And check out his work and enjoy the beer that he recommends on his show. And thanks to the folks at Blossom Dim Sum and Grill here at Butte and Robson for helping us out with the location with Joe.
Well, we're back here at the Medical Rejuvenation Clinic in downtown Vancouver with our favorite expert, skincare, Dr. Bob Morell. And I love that you travel the world to keep up with all the newest technology. And I always find that in this clinic, you're always having the newest, the latest, and the most effective treatments. Now, we're going to talk about something that's been around for a while, but there's new, I guess there's new ideas and there's new application for what you like to call the vampire treatment. So can you explain a little bit about that, and maybe starting with why, the healthy skin issue, and why people are worried so much about aging?
So we all know what healthy skin looks like. It's vibrant, it's smooth, there's no pigmentation, it's tight, it's firm. But not as we get on in life, it changes. Then the changes are called the changes of aging.
Yes.
And it could be regular aging or it can be accelerated aging. So what does elderly or old, fatigued skin look like? It looks like sagging, it looks like bigger pores, it looks like hyperpigmentation. It looks tired. People come in and say, look, my skin looks tired. So we all want to be in the first category, youthful and vibrant and radiating.
Absolutely.
So we know what it looks like, but what does it depend on? Like everybody has different skin. And so it goes that certain factors play a role in how our skin ages. First of all is our ethnicity, our culture. So we know that English skin is probably the most sensitive to exposure to toxins, and they may be accelerated aging with the skin. And so probably that's the starting point. The further east from England you go to Greece or go to Italy, the skin's a little bit tighter, a little bit firmer, a little bit healthier. You go to the Ukraine and everyone goes, oh yes, my grandmother was 90 and her skin looked like this. I hear that all the time. Or Russia. And finally you get to Asia, which is probably the best skin in the world.
Well, that's fascinating.
And originally I thought it couldn't be, we're all created equal, but we're not. Asian skin is different. It's thicker, it's healthier, the epidermis is thicker, the dermis is healthier, and it's tighter.
Sounds like there's a lot of science behind this because there's a lot of need and a lot of, I guess, demand to continue to look youthful.
Totally. So each culture has its rate of aging, but there are things which accelerate aging. So smoking as a toxin or sun exposure, 95% of accelerated aging is related to sun exposure. And so we know that makes people age a lot more. Pollution and our nutrition. And so it's really the holistic approach to having healthy skin.
Now you've got some great new thoughts and ideas that you continue to bring to Vancouver, which is amazing. Always the top clinic here. Can you discuss some of the newest with the PRP, the platelet-rich? Well, I'll let you discuss
you're right.
that.
Platelet-rich plasma.
Plasma.
So right, and so our clinic is based around making skin look healthy. We've got lasers, a number of different kinds of lasers. We have skin care like D. Morelli, vitamin C, brightener, retinol, and now we have a very significant jump in how we stimulate skin to be healthy. It's using PRP, the old vampire treatment.
Yes.
So what is PRP? Platelet-rich plasma is a serum that we can get that has growth factors in it from your own blood. So it goes like this. If you're a patient, you come into the office, we take your blood, we spin it down, and in the top part of the spinning of the blood down, it's clear, and that's called plasma. So we take that plasma, put numbing cream on the patient's face, put the serum on the patient's face, and use electric microneedling and thousands of little microneedling pinpoints over the face, driving that platelet-rich plasma, which has growth factors. The reason that platelets have your growth factors is the same as if you just cut yourself. What makes it heal so fast is your platelets go there, release growth factors, and you heal. The same way with stimulating growth and health of your skin.
So what would be the downtime for this treatment?
It depends on the aggressivity, really, because it should be 2 days to 3 days maximum. And so your face is red when you leave the office. The next day, as long as there's no bruising, the red is now pink, and the following day you're fine. So a lot of people do it on a Friday and they're back to work Monday.
Wow, and so is there results seen fairly quickly? Or is it a little bit of a delay?
Well, you see some of the results immediately based on the fact that there's some kinds of a response of the skin to looking plumper, fuller, smoother. But the actual stimulation with the growth factors in the microneedling process takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and so progressive improvement with time.
Wonderful. And standard, how many treatments to get maximum, or does that depend on the patient?
Personally, I like to see people set up a program which goes on forever, because we're trying to redo, say if someone's 40 or 50 or 60 years old that is doing it, we like to recover their healthy skin and keep it going as healthy as we can.
Wonderful.
And we usually do packages of 3, so a couple of months between each one.
Wonderful. So when should somebody start this?
Instantly. As soon as they hear about it.
Well, age-wise for our audience.
Well, we know it's kind of funny because Health Canada says you should start using protection at the age of 6 months.
Wow.
protection from damage from the sun, right? So you should start sunscreen at 6 months. Usually we see people were in the late 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, on into 30, you'll start seeing changes with elasticity, changes with pigmentation, changes with smoothness of their skin. So in that age group, but it accelerates with time, and it's useful anywhere from age 30 on.
Perfect, perfect. Any last thoughts on this particular treatment?
Well, I think this is the future is the issue, because we're now looking at ways of making your skin truly healthy. It's not a cosmetic procedure. It's making your skin the way it used to be. Growth factors from your own body, collected, concentrated, put into your skin. It's going to be healthier. This is the future.
So for more information, they can go to the website and find out more about PRP and all the other applications for this really excellent treatment.
Well, that's the other issue, is that they use it in sports medicine because it's used as a growth factor stimulant for joints that are degenerative, or it's used for hair regrowth. And so we have a program of hair rejuvenation with using PRP as one of the elements we do for hair rejuvenation.
Wow. Well, it sounds amazing, and it's always great to sit down with you and find out what's new. And I know the audience loves hearing more and all up-to-date information. So definitely you can find out more information at Dr. Bob Morell's website. Call in the office too if you want to come in for a consultation. And thanks again for joining us today. We always love hearing about all this great information. Thanks.
Well, we're back here where we started the show in Stanley Park, right across the street from Tea House. Oh, we had a good time in there today.
We sure did. It is just absolutely a gorgeous, iconic spot in Vancouver. And look at this park.
Oh, I got to tell you, it's a late autumn day. The colors, everything is fantastic. But it's time for us to go. I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
We will see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.
Some of my clothing provided by Emile Clothing Company, located in Yaletown, Vancouver, and online. Additional clothing for Lita provided by Blushing Boutique, also located in downtown Vancouver.